Good evening. Good evening, ladies. How are you? I am Chrisnatha DeRosier. I am the administrator of this Facebook community, the I Am a Masterpiece movement. I'm so excited that you are first a part of this community. This is all about sisterhood and for you to discover the masterpiece within yourself. And we have had a series of chats over the last evenings, and tonight is no different. I am excited because I have an awesome woman. Her name is Wilna Francois, and she's coming to talk to us and chat with us tonight about mental health, family, and the importance of therapy. So there's so much going on in the world, and we need therapy and mental health and focusing on our thoughts more than ever before. So I want to go ahead and bring her on. So without further ado, we're going to bring on Wilna Francois. Hi, Wilna.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm wonderful. We're so happy to have you tonight. So, Wilna, we're going to...
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And so I'm going to just jump on into the topic tonight. I was telling the ladies that we're going to be talking about mental health, family, and the importance of therapy tonight.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yes, they are all very important.
Yes, indeed.
We don't really talk about how much, we have to be intentional about maintaining our mental health.
Absolutely. I was telling the ladies last night when I was on the chat that the first month of quarantine, I spent that month actually in therapy, and it was so beneficial. And I'm so happy because it set the tone for the rest of my time in quarantine. And I believe one of the reasons why I had such a great time in quarantine was because at the beginning, I had therapy and I dealt with some things that were surfacing. And so I thought that that was a really good thing that I did at the beginning so that I could enjoy the rest of it because I had tools.
Exactly. I was about to tell you, you were able to, learn some tools to be able to overcome the stress, the anxiety, and just the overwhelming feeling of this quarantine. So therapy is a great thing. It's not only because I'm a therapist, but I also went through therapy a few years back, and I'm looking forward to it again. It's like a great investment. I don't regret it. So anybody who is really in need of someone to talk to, someone to be able to help provide them with the tools, to enjoy their day-to-day activities or their day-to-day lives, I definitely encourage them to go.
Awesome. Okay. So I want to know from you, when did you become passionate about therapy?
I became passionate. Well, the funny story was, I was supposed to become a nurse, right? And my undergrad studies, my major was nursing. When I look back on my paperwork, I'm like, oh my goodness, I came far. Then I changed it to college after I started learning about, how the world works, how people, their behaviors are sometimes impacted by their past histories, by their past traumas. I became so intrigued with that. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know how I can help other people overcome their past traumas, to overcome, just the past the things that they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And as a teenager, growing up in this culture, not only was it a culture for me, but for my family, it became a different world. They had to adjust to raising a different child because all of my siblings grew up in Haiti. So the system was different. The structure was different over there. So the things that they had to overcome with me, they didn't have to overcome with my siblings. So it made it very how can I, for lack of a better word, feeling for me, because I try to express myself, but when you are a teenager in a Haitian household, there's not much that you can do. It's you better go to school, follow rules, and we'll be all right. But I was, the black sheep of the family. I had to tell you how I feel. So I was like, okay, with so much conflict that I went through with my family, and in conversation with my peers, I realized I'm not the only one. We all go through it. And, with the whole generational gap, my parents are pretty mature, and I'm the last one in my family, the youngest one. So the gap is very big. So we had a lot of difficulty understanding each other. And I'm like, okay, so if I'm not the only one, there has to be a way that I can create a change in the community, especially in the Haitian community, because it is causing unnecessary conflicts. Versus if we were able to find a way to communicate with each other, then we would be able to have better relationships. So then I thought, how can I became this person who advocate changes. For so many years, I was a case manager, but I wasn't really satisfied with that role. So I went back to school. So I would say, my early 20s is when I decided, okay, I really want to be a family therapist because I want to be able to create change in families' lives the same way that I was able to create the minor changes in my own family.
That's awesome. Good for you.
So
Good for
that's when I
you.
realized that. Thank you. Thank you. That's when I realized that I wanted to be a therapist.
That's so good. I'm so proud of you. And I think it's wonderful that you saw a problem, you saw a need, and you literally
Thank you.
created a way to solve that need. And you, like you said, you came and said, listen, this is an issue. I'm going to be the problem solver. I'm going to be the change maker in my family.
Right.
And I'm going to be the example. So that's wonderful. That is so wonderful. And I do think something you said that was so important is that culture plays a role in how people see therapy and mental health. People have to consider culture and how people were raised and the things that they were told and whether they're true or not true, just the things that they were told and the way that they grew up. And so I'm glad that even from a Caribbean background, you were able to
Exactly.
introduce your family to something different.
Absolutely. I tried very hard. Up until today, I don't think they have it like, the way I want them to. But, their thinking it has been different from how it was before. So, we're able to establish a line of communication versus before it was more of a dictatorship. Now it's more of a partnership. I don't know if me growing up has anything to do with it, but I know definitely me voicing my opinion and not simply just laid back and just taking everything in. I was able to stand up for myself and say, no, you hurt me with those words, right? It didn't make me feel good. I would appreciate it if you would communicate with me in a better way. And that definitely created change in how they speak around me, of me, and with other people. And I was amazed.
That is so great. I love that because even for myself, I have a sibling, but I was the first one to really express my feelings and always want to talk about how I felt. And that was something new for my parents. They were like, all these feelings and discussions about emotions. So they definitely had to adjust to me, my personality, and what my needs were. And I was able to start expressing that my needs, the emotional ones, needed to be met by them too. And so it was interesting, but we were learning together.
Absolutely. And I can definitely a lot from you when it comes to expressing yourself. First, it was like, well, Wilna, write them a letter. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try. But at first, my letter went sideways, and I felt some type of way. But I heard you when you say, you know what? If you have something you have to tell somebody, you definitely have to open up and tell them about it because they can't read your mind. But it took me some time, but I was able to get
Well, I just want to actually add that I too wrote a letter to my dad. What I don't remember how old I was, but that letter, that it put me in more trouble than it helped me, and I was trying. I was trying.
there.
I thought the letter was going to be helpful, and oh man, it just blew up in my face. So I agree with you. I had to learn, like, okay, I'm going to have to start vocalizing how I feel because the letters don't work.
Listen, it does not work. And don't even start talking about it getting into the wrong hands. Okay, that's another conversation for another day.
Yes,
So definitely letters. It's a start, but you can proceed by using your words vocally.
definitely. But PSA, if you have Caribbean parents, they are sharing your letter with someone in the family. So just for anybody who wants to write a letter to your parent, it is not confidential at all.
Yep,
It's not.
that is a fact. I lived it. I know it's my personal testimony, and I was livid. But you know what? What can I? He did what he knew. He did what he thought was best. So I was like, you know what? At least you read it and you shared the words with somebody else. So let's just find a solution at this point.
Oh yeah, I listen. I'm a witness too. Trust me, I get it. I get it. And speaking of family, as you know, I'm sure, because you're also lived it. We have been in quarantine. Some of us still in quarantine. And as it relates to families in quarantine, what do you think is one of the greatest lessons that families should walk away with from this pandemic?
I think work away with that nothing is guaranteed in life, right? We see our families on a day-to-day basis prior to the quarantine, and some family members, those that we do not live with, we don't really get to interact with them anymore, and we didn't realize that this day would ever come. So for this period of time, I would say one of the greatest things that families should take away from this time is that nothing is guaranteed. Use the time that you have right now with your family members to be able to help improve your relationship with them, to strengthen the bond, to be able to find or create a space where you have an open communication to be able to help one another. Because once that's taken away, that privilege of being able to see them all the time and appreciate them is taken away, then regret starts to sneak and make you think, did I do enough? Did I show them appreciation enough? So I think that it's very important that we start showing or start valuing our members, because there may come a time that you may not be able to express it the way that you want to, and unfortunately at that time it would be too late.
Absolutely, absolutely. Not taking our family members for granted. That's really important because a lot of people unfortunately suffered with a lot of loss. They experienced loss. Some people lost family members, extended family to either COVID or another illness or something around this time,
Mhm.
and they have
Yeah.
to grieve. They have to go through a pandemic, and they can't even celebrate the life of their loved one in the way that they would want because we're in quarantine. And so it's been tough. So that's a really great lesson. Really, really awesome.
Right.
And as far as therapy is concerned,
Absolutely.
as far as therapy is concerned, would you consider that a form of self-care?
Absolutely. When we're going through, turbulent time or turmoils in our lives, trials and tribulations, it is very important that we practice self-care. It's something that I am an advocate of myself, because I realize how much of a difference that it creates in our lives, mentally, physically, just emotionally, overall. It's very important that we take care of bodies and our minds the same way. We ensure to nourish our body. We have to also nourish our mental health as well. We have to be intentional about that. So absolutely, therapy is a form of self care, um, because it is a space for you to simply share how you are feeling. It's a non-judgmental environment where you can disclose anything, knowing that it will not come back to you by somebody else. Whatever it is that you disclose in that session, it will remain there unless there is something absolutely detrimental about it to somebody else or your life. Then confidentiality has to be broken. But therapy is a great form of self care. It may not be the most portable time. There are some community agencies or organizations very affordable for individuals by providing them a sliding fee scale. So if you can, definitely utilize it to the best of your ability as much as you can, because it really makes a difference mentally. It's a great source of self care.
Hmm. And there's also therapy that we can get virtually, right? Because in quarantine, I think therapists have been extremely busy, but we haven't been able to physically get together. So people have either been on apps or they've been
Absolutely.
doing some video with their therapist as
Yeah.
well.
Absolutely. Telehealth is a new method. And, throughout this whole pandemic situation, I've been home and seeing most of my clients, via telehealth outside of one or two that preferred for me to continue to meet them in the community. Of course, taking the necessary precautions. But most of my clients, I've seen them via telehealth. So it's a great way to access your therapist via, video format. So it doesn't stop from getting it because the COVID have impacted us in a great amount of way. So yeah.
Awesome. Yes, because when I did therapy, I did it through telehealth. So I didn't physically see her in person, but we were on video.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome.
Mhm. So I have a
I mean,
question.
there's a difference versus the physical.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
No, go ahead. I
Go
think
ahead.
I interrupted you.
No, I was simply gonna say there's a difference between the physical format versus the virtual format, but you still get the benefit, you know,
Yes, I would agree. Definitely.
whether you're physical or virtual. Yeah.
Okay, so Wilna, I have a question.
So, what did you want to know?
So word on
Okay.
the street is some Christians think that it's wrong
Uh-huh.
to go to therapy. What say you?
Wow. Man, listen. I I honestly believe that, if you are a Christian who believes that, Christians should not go to therapy, I feel like you're limiting yourself in a way that, yes, prayer works. Prayer changes things, absolutely. However, there are certain things, you pray about it. At the same time, there are other action steps that you can take to be able to help you. For someone who have went through depression several times, that it's not that I didn't pray about it. Sometimes you don't even have the desire to lose that desire to pray. So what do you do then? It's not that your faith is not greater. It simply means that as a Christian, you are also a human being and you overcome or you undergo, certain difficulties that prayer and or in addition to prayer, you have to also seek therapy. So in therapy, we do not practice anything that is contradictory to what the word says. It's simply, well, of course, you have to be mindful of the kind of therapist that you choose. If you want somebody who is, Christian based, a faith based therapist, then absolutely seek for that. But I don't think that Christians should be restricted to going to therapy. Although it is frowned upon in some communities, but I definitely welcome it, and I do not think that it is it's a crime to for a Christian to go to therapy. Because if we've seen pastors passing away due to suicide, that means that there is something wrong, or there was something wrong there that they were not addressing. Because as leaders in the church, we are taking on a lot of our individuals that we're leading, their issues, their struggles upon ourselves. And yes, we have to take care of ourselves spiritually, and we also have to take care of ourselves mentally. If that means that with a therapist to process the pressure of your position in the church, absolutely, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Prayer is great, but in addition to that, also seek a therapist because they receive training to be able to help you view your trouble, your issues in a different way, and also provide you with tools that can help you on a day-to-day basis.
That is so good. Hashtag facts. I am in agreement with you. And just like counseling, if
Absolutely.
you, yes, just like counseling, if you want a Christian counselor, you can get a Christian counselor. If you want a Christian or a faith-based therapist, you can get one. And so it's really important that people know that they have options, but you don't have to go through navigate through all of this alone. There's so much going on. We have life in general, right? The natural stresses of life. We have a whole pandemic, which can really drive some people crazy if you've lost work, or if you're one of the 30 plus million people without a job right now, right? And some states still have not started giving out unemployment benefits, right? And so this is almost 90 days in a pandemic, and some people have not received one check. And so they may or may not have received a stimulus, but really, how far does that get in 90 days? And so you have a lot of frustration, you have a lot of stress. It's just so much going on. So there's a lot going on. So we definitely want to make sure that people feel safe, and that you have permission to seek help. Take care of yourself, everyone. And I just think you were dropping bars. And so I just basically want to make the point that when you said earlier, basically to kind of, what's the word I want to use, to kind of summarize what you said in your last point, was that therapy is not the absence of faith. Therapy is not the absence of faith.
No.
Yeah, that's just so important. So basically, that was like a synopsis of what you were saying, but therapy is not the absence of faith. So you can be full of faith and still have therapy and still love God all at the same time. So that's wonderful.
Right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. So that's important. Yes. And we want to make sure, yes, that tonight we give people the permission, the freedom to feel free to talk to people. Going back to culture, sometimes we're taught to hold everything in, don't tell anybody, deal with your stress, deal with your drama, deal with your life issues by yourself. But that is literally killing people. And so, like you said, suicide and all this stuff. And so talk to someone, get these frustrations, anger, stress, sadness, confusion, trauma, whatever it is, get it out to a professional.
Right.
Professional. Absolutely. That's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a lot of, stigma, when you start talking about suicidal thoughts, sometimes in the church, individuals are not well equipped to be able to handle that. How do you respond to a worship leader when they disclose to you that they've been dealing with suicidal thoughts? You say, well, what happened to your faith? Some individuals might react that way. And, it simply shuts you down. It discontinues your conversation. You no longer want to share, you no longer want to be honest, because this individual places you on such a high pedestal. You are untouchable by any mental illness, by any other issue that may, impact somebody else who is an unbeliever. And that right there is very limiting because we are all human beings. We're human beings before we are, believers. So definitely we are not what's the word, exempt from any issues or illnesses that are alive in our world.
Agreed. And talking about the world, Wilna, with the climate that we're going through, with the feelings that we're going through, the heaviness of not just quarantine, but racism, anger, protesting. I mean, our world is going through a lot at the same time. And so right now, with emotions at an all-time high, either you're really mad, you're really sad, you're overwhelmed. There's just a lot of emotion going on right now. So with all the tension, how do we take care of our mind right now? Like, what do we do with the news cycles going on, the protesting, the frustration, the anger, and the uproar? How do we take care of our minds right now?
Man, it's a very delicate time. It seems to be that everything seems to just be going on at the same time. And, we can be at wit's end, like how to manage. One thing that I would inform the public is that, yes, voice your opinion. Yes, become aware of everything in your surroundings and be alert. However, do not internalize the anger that you are experiencing by all of this racism or violence that is going on right now. share it, tell it to somebody, but make sure that if you are expressing yourself on a social media platform, that you utilize words that will not, create a negative idea of yourself or provide you with a negative image, but definitely express yourself. If you have to express yourself with a friend, express yourself. However, we have to also learn how to separate ourselves from all of this news that is going on. It's great to be aware, but we also have to get off at some point, right? In order for us to care for our mental health, we cannot simply feed our mind with the negativity that we are surrounded by. We also have to replace that with some positive statements, either via affirmations, by doing some positive activities like spending time in worship, being surrounded by like-minded individuals who are able to empower you and speak positivity into your life. Those are all part of self-care. And also, if you don't feel like you want to share with a group of people, you can also pick up a journal, pick up a book. Men or women can definitely pick up a book, write down. Yes, you can pick up a book that you can read to educate you on how to become more mindful, or how to, self-improve yourself, or just pick up a journal and simply write down your thoughts. I find it to be very therapeutic when you are just releasing your anger via words, right? There's nobody there to judge you, so whatever you feel, you can write it down on paper. But at the same time, we have to be mindful, and we have to be, self-aware. When those negative thoughts starts to intrude our mind, how do we respond to them? We cannot keep them, on the inside. So we have to release them. Otherwise, it will become, anxiety. That's how it starts, is by worrying about everything around us, and we start to develop this fear of going outside, or this fear of interacting with other people, not knowing what could happen. We cannot live in fear due to the fact that, there's so many things happening around us. So we definitely have to find a medium, educate yourself, but at the same time protect your mind, protect your peace, by not allowing all this negativity to come on the inside, or not spending so much time watching it.
That's so good, because I found myself at first looking at all of the news and taking in all of the information and just scrolling on social media. But then I also felt myself getting overwhelmed and getting really, really down. And so I had to kind of stop and say, you're not going online again today. I mean, not to stroll, right? Only to post and get off. But also
Right.
I put the phone away. I put on some music. I lit a candle. I just said, I need to just take care of my mind, right? Because, like you said, there was so much going on. And yes, I feel what's happening. And yes, I'm sure everyone does.
Right.
But I have to make sure that I'm taking care of my mind. In addition to that, I wanted to do some other things that could be helpful. And so I emailed my governor, I emailed my state representative, and I emailed my police chief, and to let them know what my thoughts were. So I was very honest, but yet respectful in my correspondence with them. And my goal now is to email them every week in June. And so I want them to know that this is important to me. And so that is one of the things that I'm doing. We can also partner with organizations like the NAACP, Color of Change, and so many others, and to make sure we're registered voters as well, to be mindful of the judges, the
Absolutely.
police chiefs, and all these local officials that we are voting into office or not voting into office. And so we want to make sure that our voice is heard that way as well. So thank you so much for those practical steps on what we could
Absolutely.
do mentally to make sure that we stay mentally healthy during this time. That's really important. And so, Wilna, you shared some.
Absolutely. And I agree with
Oh,
you.
yes.
Voting is one of the it's one of the primary ways that we can voice our opinion, and I think that it's a less harmful way, because we're voting, and we have the right to do so, and we don't have to worry about somebody else, either shutting down the protest, because you have the right to vote. You're voting. It's your citizen right to voice your opinion on who you want to be in office, so that you can see a change in your community.
Amen. I agree. 1,000,000%. I agree. It's important to make sure that we are active in many different aspects and ways. And so, Wilna, I first want to just say thank you so much. I've learned so much tonight. You've shared so many great nuggets with us, and I just want people to be free to be open to therapy, to be open to start sharing their thoughts, to journal, like you said. That's something we can all do in our daily walks. Journal and just take care of our mind, to take a beat, take a break from social media, and to cherish our family members, the ones that are closest to us. So thank you for all those amazing nuggets that you shared with us tonight. But I want to make sure that the ladies stay connected with you, and if they need a faith-based therapist, they can get in touch with you. So tell us, how can we find you?
Well, I am on most social media platforms. I am on Facebook. It's my name, Wilna Francois. So if you want to connect with me, you can do so. I am also on Instagram. I think my name on Instagram is Wealth with Wilna. So you can connect with me that way. I'm also open via email. If anyone has any question and they want to, just speak with me privately, they can. And it is wealthwithwilna@gmail.com. I can post it in the comments below at a later time. I also, if you want a therapist or if you're seeking a therapist, you can definitely reach out to me and I will connect you with Nancy because that is the start process to be able to, start therapy with us and they will assign you to me. As long as we're following the code of ethics, meaning that there's no restrictions for me providing you therapy, then definitely let's get the ball rolling. And I also, if you need coaching services, I also provide that if anyone is interested. So definitely reach out to me. I am very friendly and nice, and I will communicate back via email if needed.
Awesome. And I'll make sure that everyone has the email address to reach you with either coaching or therapy. So thank you so much. We just enjoyed you so much tonight, and we're going to have you back. So thank you so much for being a part of our
Thank
chat
you for
series.
having me. You are an
Absolutely.
amazing person. For having me here. It means a lot. It means a lot to me to be able to be here and share, my knowledge. So I hope that someone took away something and it will be beneficial for them moving forward.
Definitely. And you are a OG in the I Am a Masterpiece movement. Okay. So we're so proud of the work that you're doing.
And that's my community and will always be my community.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. So this is Wilna Francois. We thank her for her time talking to us about mental health, family, and the importance of therapy. So, ladies, that was our chat for this evening. Once again, have an incredible, incredible night and have a purpose driven week. And we will be seeing you very soon. God bless you.
Woohoo. Bye, everyone.